Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Welcome back. I am Yusna Liza Hamid. Today we are going to discuss another application of Mfrs 116 PPE, and in today's session we are going to learn how to prepare the disclosure note, which is preparing the schedule showing the movement of PPE. And in this particular question that I've chosen, this one, we are going to look at the derecognition of a depreciable asset, a different asset, and the next one is looking at how do we incorporate the impairment of asset, depreciable asset, where there is an impairment loss, and at the end we are going to prepare the disclosure note as per the requirement of the question. And for information, this is from the common test question FAR270 December 2021, question 1D. So let's start. If you look at the question here, these are the things that you will be able to achieve if you do the question. You'll be able to learn the subsequent measurement cost model in terms of the accounting treatment, because I will show you the workings for the impairment. And we'll also be looking at the recognition of depreciable asset when there is a depreciation using straight line method, monthly basis, and also how to prepare the disclosure notes in the form of schedule to show the movement of PPE. So if you look at the question, it starts with the 1st July 2017, and this is the date of acquisition. Brilliant acquired the following assets. So if you can see, I've already highlighted the different assets that you have there: office equipment and plant and machinery. The office equipment, on the date of acquisition, the initial cost was 200,000 and the plant and machinery was 400,000. No information was given regarding the accumulated depreciation. And if you look at the requirement, you are asked to prepare the schedule to show the movement of property, plant, and equipment for the year ended 30th June 2021. So if you see there, it means that what you need to show is whatever from 1st of July 2020 up until 30th of June 2021. So you have no information given for the 1st of July relating to the accumulated depreciation, but we can calculate or find out that information using the depreciation information that you have here, where both are monthly basis. One is having 20% on cost straight line method. So if you have residual value, please make sure that you take the cost and deduct with the residual value first to arrive at the depreciable cost or depreciable amount. But here no residual value is tested. And the second one is 10% on cost. So it is a policy of the company to adopt the cost model. So the cost model is being used. So if there is any information regarding the fair value whatsoever, you just need to ignore that, because the company did not adopt the revaluation model. So look at the information given there. 1st January 2021, the plant machinery was sold for 245,000, and this is the disposal proceed. So this is the disposal proceed. So that was the first information regarding plant and machinery. So if you read further, you would see that the remaining information is all related to the next asset, which is the office equipment. So the one that I have highlighted in yellow, that is the one related to the plant and machinery. So we can start drawing some timeline diagram before we construct the schedule, so that we have a clear picture of what actually happened. So if you can see here, on 1st of July 2017, though this is the date of acquisition, and remember we are doing this for OE, for the plant and machinery PM, and this is the first asset, and this is the second, so number 1. So the date of acquisition, you have the 200,000 to be the amount, and all the information is given there, straight line method. So straight line method for the depreciation, and that was monthly basis. So that is what happened. And if you look, you are informed the disposal date, this is the date of disposal, DOD, was actually on 1st of January. So if you can see, this is happening in the current year. So 1st of January is here, 1st of January 2021, and our year end is, the current year end is 30th of June 2021, so it is here. So this is the date of disposal. I put there DOD, DOA is for date of acquisition. So if you follow monthly basis, in the year that you dispose, you can see here that here there is some 6 months here. So if you put here, this one is 1st of July 2020. So from 1st of July 2020 up until 1st of January 2021, you need to still find what is the current year depreciation, CYD, for this period. And at the same time, you also need to find out what is the accumulated depreciation brought forward on this date, which is on 1st of July 2020. So you need to find out the accumulated depreciation, and from 1st of July 2017 up until the 1st of July 2020, this is 3 years. So 3 years. So we need to look at what we have. 3 years. So put here 3 years. So this 3 years. So we need to find out the accumulated depreciation brought forward. The reason is because these are the information that you need to incorporate here. Accumulated depreciation brought forward. And you need to know what are the accumulated, the current year depreciation or the current year charge, so that you can prepare the schedule to show the movement of the asset, plant and machinery. So we'll be doing that. And we'll be doing that in our workings before we proceed with the schedule. Bear in mind that during this period, 6 months, you still need to provide depreciation because monthly basis. And of course, throughout this 3 years period, so you need to provide depreciation for the current year, but you also need to find the information during the prior period. Beginning of the year, how much is the accumulated depreciation, to be shown in the notes on PPE. Next one is regarding the office equipment. So for office equipment, let's just use a different color. So for office equipment, this is office equipment, and this is number 2. And we start off with the same thing, 1st of July 2017. And here you have the beginning of the current year, 1st of July 2020. And if you read the question, 30th of June, office equipment was damaged. 30th June is somewhere here. 30th of June 2021. So there was an indicator of impairment, damage, but could only be used at a reduced capacity. So there was some indicator that there is an impairment of asset. However, the remaining useful life still remain the same. And on the same date, which is on 30th of June, so you have been informed that the estimated value in use was having 36,000 VIU 36, and you are also informed fair value less cost to sell to be 25,000. Be careful, these are the information regarding RA or recoverable amount, and this is the information regarding impairment of office equipment. So we need to find out what is the accumulated depreciation using straight line method, monthly basis, and we need to find out for these 3 years what is your accumulated depreciation brought forward as at this date again, which is as at 1st of July 2020. We need to find out that to be able to prepare the PPE notes for the year ended 30th June 2021. And since the impairment took place 30th of June 2021, so there was no derecognition whatsoever because that was related to the plant and machinery. There was also no addition, no revaluation, surplus or deficit. If you have that, you need to consider that first before you do the impairment. Should you have any revaluation or any addition to the asset, right? Or any write-off perhaps. So for this period, which is for the current year, this is current year, so that's here is the current year. So for the current year, which is exactly 12 months, which is 1 year, so you need to go and find out what are the current year depreciation. Current year depreciation, same goes for here. And then only at the end of the year, after you got what is the carrying amount here, which is on 30th of June 2021, you will be comparing with the recoverable amount and check whether there is an impairment. So let's do that. So I've prepared for you the workings, and I start off with the plant and machinery. So that was disposed on 1st of January 2021, and initial cost of the asset on the date of acquisition was 1st of July 17. That was 400,000. That 400,000 is from here. Yeah, always be alert with the information given, and this is on 1st of July. So that was for the plant and machinery. And that will later be disposed. So because it was being disposed completely, we need to find out what are the accumulated depreciation of the asset on the date of disposal. Remember, date of disposal was 1st of January 2021. First, find out what is the accumulated depreciation as at 1st of July, beginning of the year, which is the accumulated depreciation brought forward. And that was going to be from 1st of July 2017 up until 1st of July 2020. So 400,000 times 10%. That 10% is because you have the 10% rate, and that was for plant and machinery. And remember, for office equipment, that was 20%. Okay, you calculate that, you get 120,000 for 3 years. Then you need to find out the current year depreciation. Why do I split? The reason is because we are preparing the notes on PPE. So we need to show the current year depreciation, which is charged for the year, together with the accumulated depreciation at the beginning of the year in the schedule. However, for the current year, you just provide depreciation for 6 months, since that is monthly basis. So for 6 months, 400,000 times 10% times half year, you will get the 20,000. That was the total current depreciation for that year. So therefore, at the end of the year, which is somewhere, not at the end of the year, actually somewhere after the beginning of the current year, but on the date of disposal, accumulated depreciation as at 1st of January. Remember, this is the date of disposal. So that would be 140,000, the total from these two. Next, you can also notice that I use different color, and you will see the reason why in a short while. So here is the carrying amount on the date of disposal of the asset being disposed. This is on the date of disposal, on DOD, date of disposal. And you will compare that with the proceed, which is 245 given in the question. Check that in your question. And you have a loss on disposal. Remember, loss will not be incorporated, even the proceed will not be incorporated in the notes, but we're trying to find out this few things here. The one that I use the different colors there, apart from using black. Next, let's see the impact in the movement of PPE. First, start off with the cost or valuation. And make sure that you have the balance at the beginning of the year. Since this question will involve disposal, so I put one row for disposal. And there is no other thing as apart from just disposal. No addition, no revaluation surplus, no revaluation deficit. So if you have that, please include more rows there. So then you have the balance at the end of the year. We will insert the figure in a short while. Accumulated depreciation, you need to know what is the balance at the beginning of the year. Remember, we will be doing that for two assets. One is for plant machinery, the other one will be for office equipment. Charge for the year is the depreciation. So we're going to include the figure that we calculate here to the notes. Disposal, which is upon the disposal or derecognition, accumulated depreciation of the disposed asset, which amounts to 140,000, must be eliminated from the books of the company. So you will have to find out what is the amount to be debited to the accumulated depreciation, and this is the working that will give you the amount. At the end of the year, how much is it? But for this asset that have impairment, which is the second asset, you need to do extra, where you need to go and include few more rows, few more lines for your accumulated impairment loss. Remember, under cost model, if you can still recall, under cost model, the carrying amount of the asset equal cost, or the here there is no valuation, it was just cost, minus accumulated depreciation minus accumulated impairment loss. So accumulated impairment loss, or AIL, I have used the short form there. So the same that like you do for your accumulated depreciation, you will be doing that for accumulated impairment loss. What is the balance at the beginning of the year? Of course, no balance, because this is the first impairment of asset that has been done by the company. Charge for the year means how much is the impairment loss. You need to calculate that, and what is the balance at the year end, 30th of June 2021. But this is not for the recognition of plant and machinery. This will be for the next asset. But we just prepare the template first. So now we can move on and look at the plant and machinery, which is relating to the workings that I've prepared here. So for the plant and machinery, beginning balance, of course, 400,000. That was from the information given in the question. However, that 400,000 will all be derecognized or disposed. So you can see here, this 400,000 that I calculate here, I've already posted here, which is in the notes on the movement of PPE. Next is the balance as at 1st of July 2020. It must be 120,000 because this is the figure that you show here. Right? So that is the one at the beginning of the year. Then charge for the year 20,000 is the current year depreciation for the current period, for that 6-month period, 1st of July up until 1st of January, right before the date of disposal, and we include 20,000 since this is using monthly basis. If you adopt yearly basis, there is no depreciation in the year of this disposal for the asset being disposed. And then you need to go and eliminate the accumulated depreciation. So why do you eliminate? The reason is because the asset is being disposed. Not only the cost must be removed as you do it here, but it must also be removed with the accumulated depreciation relating to the asset. So the balance will be at the end of the year for the accumulated depreciation is 0 because everything has been closed. The account has been closed. Same goes for the asset. The at cost for the plant and machinery was also 0. So there was no information on impairment because asset here, plant and machinery was not impaired. So at the end of the year, the carrying amount, should you have any impairment loss for this asset, you must also consider that. But here none. So at the end of the year, you have this information. Okay, next we'll go and look at the impairment of the asset. But before that, as I mentioned, the accumulated depreciation has been eliminated. All right, for the asset, plant and machinery. Now we move on to the impairment of asset that has been taken for the case of office equipment. That was on 30th of June 2021, an impairment test was conducted. So initial cost of the asset that was impaired was 200,000. The accumulated depreciation, as you need to know, find out that was 120. How to get 120? That was for the 3 years period. The 200,000 is the cost of the asset. 20% is the rate, and this is for 3 years multiplied by 3. So you will have 120,000. And this is the one that you will have to show in the movement as the accumulated depreciation balance, the beginning of the year. Then you will have to calculate the current year depreciation. This is monthly basis. In the current year, the asset was impaired at the end of the year. So from the beginning of the year up until the date of impairment. So here would be until the date of impairment, DOI impairment. So it will be 40,000. So therefore, the accumulated depreciation before the impairment was 160,000, which is the total from these two figures here. And the next one is that you need to find out what is the carrying amount on the date of impairment. On the date of impairment, DOI, the carrying amount would be the cost minus the accumulated depreciation, and that was 40,000. Then you will have the recoverable amount to be compared with the carrying amount. Recoverable amount was given in the question, and you need to pick up which one is higher between the value in use and the fair value less cost to sell. So fair value less cost to sell is lower, value in use is higher, so you will pick up the value in use, and that would be your recoverable amount. And recoverable amount was 36,000. Then you will see that carrying amount is actually greater than the recoverable amount. Whenever it is greater, there is an impairment loss. If it is equal to the carrying amount, the recoverable amount equal carrying amount, there is no impairment. And this is only happening if the carrying amount is higher than the recoverable amount. And under the cost model, the impairment loss will be expensed off to the SOPL. So if you want to do the journal entry, this will be debit impairment loss in the SOPL, and you will credit to accumulated impairment loss. So let's look at the impact in the notes. So first is that you have one more column for the office equipment. We take the 200,000. 200,000 is this figure here because there was no disposal. So that was actually the costs that were the initial cost on 1st of July that you include here. There was no other thing. It was just an impairment. So there was no disposal. At the end of the year, you have 200,000 for the cost of the office equipment. And then the balance beginning in the beginning of the year, 1st July, was 120,000. This is from here, from the workings. And then the second one is the charge for the year, which is the current depreciation, 40,000. So now you have the one at the end of the year. For the accumulated depreciation was 160, so therefore this 40,000 is the carrying amount, since you have already removed the 160,000 from the cost. Next is to include the accumulated impairment loss information. If you have the information about the impairment balance at the beginning of the year, you have to include here, but this is not relevant since this is the first impairment that has been done for the office equipment. So the charge for the year or the impairment loss is 4,000. So the impairment loss is actually your charge for the year. So that was 4,000, and at the end of the year, then you will have to show the charge for the year, and therefore the balance at the end of the year remains at 4,000, and therefore you have the carrying amount after considering impairment loss for the office equipment to be 36,000. 36,000 is taking 40,000 minus this 4,000, but 40,000 here is if you can see, this is actually 200,000 minus 160, you got 40, but you need to also remove with the accumulated impairment loss. That's it. I'll see you when I will see you. This was actually the tutorial on the preparation of notes on PPE. Till then, I'll see you in my next video, and have a pleasant day ahead. Assalamualaikum.